Alaikum. We are live at Planet FM 87.6 with the program The All Rounder. Today is 17th of January 2025 and the day is Friday. So, as you all know, that here at The All Rounder, we talk about social issues, we talk about individual brilliances, and today I also have a very esteemed guest with us. Uh, and the topic, as the program is titled as the perks and challenges of being an independent woman. So I have an independent woman with me, Ms. Fariba Ahmed. Ms. Fariba Ahmed is a professor at Bahria University, Islamabad. She is also involved in various teacher training programs with US Embassy as well as British Council. Ms. Fariba, welcome to our show.
Thank you so very much, Ismail, for the invitation.
It's our absolute pleasure to have you here. Ms. Fariba, as we just mentioned about independence and independent women, what do you think is independence?
Um, talking about the word independent is like what we actually talk about from multi dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we just talk about independence. We are born, as a scholar says, that we are born free, but
Yes.
everywhere we are in chains.
Mhm.
So when you were growing up, you obviously met with a lot of chains, and somehow finding one's own flight, independence through those challenges. How was it like?
Oh, as you already have mentioned this thing that we are all born free, but yes, being part of Eastern culture and then feeling engaged and then attaining what was already yours is a challenge.
Mhm.
And every woman who is part of this very society where the dimensions have changed, and now every other woman is struggling hard to become independent. Either it's the circumstances or either it's by choice. In any case, becoming independent is a great challenge. It does have its perks, but more of the challenges.
Okay. So, Ms. Fariba, the reason for calling you here, I'll take a liberty and I'll ask you to reflect on your personal experiences. And we might dive deep into your personal life as well. And it's up to you how much you want to share about that. But you have been teaching for a long period of time now, right? How long has it been?
It's more than 2 decades.
2 decades. So by this, our listeners might assume that Miss Fariba is like 40,
Quite.
40-year plus. But I guess it's not that case. I guess you started teaching at a very early age.
Yeah, I was hardly 14 when I started.
Hardly 14 when you started. So were the circumstances pushed you towards it?
Yes, primarily it was the financial circumstances, and to be really honest, Ismail, it was really hard initially when I was, living in the society where the status of a family mattered a lot. To talk about it, that it was the circumstances that forced me to leave home and start working. But now I take pride in it. Yes,
Okay.
I started at the age of 14 as teacher assistant, and that's how my journey continued.
So starting work at the age of 14, I'm sure at that point of time, there must have been something, because there are girls who are 14, 16, 18, or for that matter 20, or even when they are at universities, they don't somehow contribute to the financial earnings of their family. So then how come you, where did this responsibility factor come?
I wouldn't say that it was basically initially, I actually thought that I am born that responsible.
Okay.
It was the circumstances that actually molded me in that way.
Okay.
But yes, the positive part that I take, I am thankful to the circumstances that I grew really strong. I did not make those circumstances as shackles that stopped me from attaining certain dreams. So yes, that 14 years was something that Initially, I thought that why girls of my age are joining college. I was a topper in my school. I topped on district level in
Okay.
my matriculation.
So can you talk about your education, early education? Where did you have your early education from?
Yeah, I did my matriculation from a Cambridge system.
Okay, so where were you based in Rawalpindi,
Yeah, I
Islamabad?
was based in Pindi. Yes,
Okay,
I was born and brought up there.
okay. So after completing your matriculation, probably you started teaching, or even when you were there in your matriculation, you started teaching.
Well, Ismail, if I would start my life story, it started right after my metric. Like till metric, I did not have a realization what kind of financial circumstances we were living in.
Okay.
Because my dad was pulling on really well, and he was managing with all four kids and with the family matters. But when I actually did my matriculation, being a topper in the class, and after my matriculation, I topped in the district on the district level. I was informed by my family that I'm not allowed to go to college because they don't have that financial stability or financial
Okay.
resources.
Okay.
So yes, there the story started, and then I had to think and rethink of plans and strategy. How can I manage with my that position? And then there came a point, Smile, that it was really hard out of my 700 salary that I have to pay my for annual fee. Like so,
Okay,
it
okay.
was
So
really
you
tough.
so you went to the college or you prepared for the exam privately?
All privately.
First year, second year was done privately, right?
Yes, all.
Intermediate is done privately by someone who is currently a professor at a university. So I mean, many a times our students, not only girls, even boys, if they are not supported by their families or somehow their families could not afford their education, they just quit. But beside doing the job that you were doing, as you mentioned, 700 rupees salary, what prompted you to continue with your education?
Well, there I would actually talk about my own dream, desire, and passion.
Okay.
Because I remember that right after my metric, my mom said that your father isn't stable financially. You need to stop your education. I mean, 10 classes that we actually talk about that till 10th grade is sufficient for girls. By this time, you need to work because
Okay, so this was from your family as well that we have, supported you till matriculation. Now that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. The one reason was like I majorly come from a rigid conservative Pakhtun family.
Okay.
My mom is not, but my dad is a conservative, and my dad had to violate a lot of family norms in order to get us educated even till matriculation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I am the first one.
Despite the fact that you were living in a city like Rawalpindi.
My dad had to struggle really hard to make us be in Pindi and grow up there.
Okay.
So even that was his own struggle that we
So
were right
are
here.
you talking about his family pressure?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Like I am
Pressure
the
from
one
your
and only.
grandparents' family.
Yes, from my paternal
Okay, paternal
relatives.
family.
I am the one and only girl in my dad's family who had been to on international trip, who had got education, who is working with in a co-education institute. So I am the only one. Like I don't see a girl even going to school or colleges in their family.
Oh my God. Great. So that's what makes Miss Fariba so special, and that's why we called her upon our stage and our program. So, Miss Fariba, you basically supported yourself in intermediate as well. So, as you
Yes.
talked about that, the annual fee you somehow managed to submit that fee through all that 700 that you used to get as a teacher assistant.
Well, it's not the case.
Huh.
The 700 that I was earning, I was giving that all in all to my mom.
Oh,
But in order to support my education and to get those books, which I got from old bookshop, it was something that I did additional task, and that was taking tuitions in the evening.
okay.
So
So
I
at
had
the
my
age of
school.
14, you started working as an assistant teacher and
Yes.
also started teaching younger kids at your
Yes.
in probably in your home.
In my home, yes, yes, at
Okay.
home.
Okay, that's great. So what subjects did you teach by then? Obviously, you were just matric. So what subjects did you teach?
Yeah, I was actually assisting my teachers,
Okay.
Making copies and all that
Home
stuff.
tuition.
Yeah, you talk home
Yeah.
tuitions. I was actually taking all those junior grades, nursery prep, so all the subjects I
Helping
was
helping
teaching.
helping
Yes,
young
yes.
kids. Okay. So how were your results in intermediate? Private intermediate, it was obviously not FSC or something that you can build on and you can say I'll go for pre-engineering or I'll go for medical or those cheesy things. So you went for a private, obviously arts FA. So what were your results?
I scored 7 or 6 marks, and that was first division. again, and all of my friends were going to colleges. Like at that time, Ismail, CB College and Makarna were the top colleges in the government sector.
Okay.
And all of my friends who were in the colleges and whom I actually envied that they're going to colleges, and I am someone who actually did really well, but I couldn't go to college. But
So, was there that inferiority complex as well?
I won't say inferiority. There was a kind of pain.
Okay.
Seeing myself.
And did that pain turn into
Power.
power?
That turned into my passion, into my power,
Okay.
into a kind of resilience, into some struggle that I just thought that I'm not going to give up. Not in front of my family, where my mom said time and again that you don't need to study, you're wasting your money.
Okay.
But I had to hide sometime my books from my mom.
So there was no support from the family.
No, not at all, not at all. In that terms, my mom was in favor that 10 till 10th grade, that is sufficient for you.
So if they were of this view that till 10th it was sufficient for you, what future did they envision for you?
Primarily the very same future that we usually talk about, that the girl is to be married off to a man, and the Prince Charming would come and would become her savior.
So, you had a problem with that, didn't you think? I mean, many of our girls still, in this era, we are in the third decade of 21st century, and still many girls think the same way as your mom, or probably the people that you're referring to. That okay, why do hard work? Why waste so much energy? Why not wait? We are done with matriculation, or for that matter intermediate, or even in today's world, I think graduation and something, and now let's wait for a good proposal, and let's get married, and let's enjoy the life at someone else's money.
Well, Ismail, if I may add one thing, I think that the listeners would really enjoy that. Even the girls who are working really hard, they would associate their success when they're married off to a man. Let me explain it this
Okay.
way. I know somebody who has become a doctor because she has to grab a good potential partner.
Okay, okay.
Did you get it?
Okay.
So,
CV.
yes,
Resume updated.
my point. So,
Yeah.
you, and then after, that MBBS and all the hard work, husband did not want her to work, she left.
Okay.
So my point is, the thing that you're saying about that, still people associate maybe success as a criteria for as
For being good
accomplishment,
enough.
being accomplished. So this concept is something that for the hardworking girls and for non-hardworking girls,
It's almost
it's
the
with
same.
everyone. And then one thing, it is not the girls. It is the family structure where in your childhood you're being taught, I want to go somewhere, you will go after your marriage. I want to wear this thing, you will do after your marriage.
Exactly.
I want to do this thing, you can do with your husband. And you never know that would that husband be that stable to support you
Exactly.
in all the dreams that you
Exactly.
have.
Exactly. Exactly. So, your intermediate education, was there somebody who helped you understand? Obviously, despite the fact that it was arts, but it was not just everybody's cup of tea to even privately appear in exam and score 7 or 6 marks. So was it like all self study, or was there somebody who helped you?
No, it was all self study.
All self study.
All self
That's
study.
great. So once you were done with intermediate, and to an extent you proved your parents wrong, or I would say you proved your point that I have the potential, and I can study, and I can support my studies without your help, and I can do that on my own as well. So then the next journey would have definitely been, at that point of time, was BA or bachelor's.
Yes.
uh, so 2 years program.
Yes.
So then the support came, or again it was all you?
No, by the grace of Allah, that opposition remained till my MPhil.
Okay, it
So I am
remained.
really proud to confess that thing. And at times when I had a conversation with my mom, with anybody, by this time when I have become that strong, independent woman, I just tell them that it was primarily I took stand for it.
Okay.
And
You
yes,
earned it.
yes, I earned it. The liberty that I have today, whatever I'm enjoying in my life, it is everything I earned. But one thing I add, that I always maintain the respect of my family.
Okay.
At no point I actually went for anything where they would feel ashamed, because coming from Pakhtun culture, coming from that very particular community, is a huge, I must say, responsibility on your head. So understanding that my father had also compromised, I must say that my father was such an amazing father, such an amazing father, that he shaped me into what I am.
Okay.
If he would not be there, I would not have been that much vocal.
Obviously, I mean, they probably didn't support you, but still there was not that much resilience.
Yes,
Otherwise, there was no force. Okay, if you can do it on your own, even that liberty is sometimes missing for many women, because
yes.
they face such an opposition that they're not even allowed to do on their own. So then, what did you go for in your
Is,
bachelor's?
Ismail, I'll just add one thing here, that when I actually faced a kind of opposition, it was not primarily because my family never wanted me to study, because they thought that studying would waste money.
Money.
And we were not in a financial
I get
position
it.
where we would be wasting money on books.
I get it.
For them, it was not empowerment.
Okay.
They couldn't understand it because their short sightedness, maybe, or they themselves were not educated, so they
Exactly.
couldn't see that.
Okay.
So I would not say that I had a kind of, a kind of opposition from the family. It was not
Not
there,
not
but
not
yes.
in that
So it
sense.
was that. Oh, right after my intermediate, then I got a dimension.
Okay.
Then I got to know where I'm going to settle, what I'm going to settle for. Then I took my subject, the most important decision that I had to do, because it was again an intermediate, sorry,
Bachelor's BA.
bachelor's for 2 years program. And then I just thought about that, what subject I'm going to take, and then I started studying literature and journalism, because being a vocal girl, I always wanted to be somewhere where I express myself and I'll be talking. Okay. So I actually took that two subjects, and then again,
And you kept on working meanwhile.
yes, I was working, and it doubled. Ismail, there came a time when I was working in the same school.
Okay.
I was running their canteen.
You were running the canteen.
Yes, I was running the canteen as well. Okay. And every day I used to cook food. I used to grab things from,
You
Raja
used to
Bazaar.
cook food.
Yes.
Okay.
Chaat and all the things. I used to take it all by myself. And I used to walk for a really long distance, and I have to go there. And then I was all alone in that battle. Today, if I look back, at that time it was a painful journey, because at time it was cold and I was too young for that. My hands used to get red, and at times they were, I had cuts and all the things. But
But I would like to chip in here, and I would like to ask you a question. When girls are working like this, even then they face opposition from their families. Some families, they can't support them financially, but still they don't want the girls to be like working and moving around like you were moving around, because they think that that's also a shame for shame for their family and their pride, and they would say, sit here and whatever we have, let's be content with that.
True that.
So what was I mean, the stance of your family with regard to this? Like, you were working, grabbing stuff from Raja Bazaar, obviously a place at such a young age. Raja Bazaar is still, I think, today,
It's quite
if we
crowded.
talk about, you feel harassed when you
True.
go there. It's very crowdy, and all sorts of people are there. So how did you manage to like convince them that let me do this?
Well, Ismail, again, I would come to the very point that I have talked about, that they were not conservative,
Okay.
yet they were financially not
Challenged.
stable.
They were
Yes.
financially challenged.
So the point was, when they actually got to know that I have the potential,
Okay.
and I can stand on my own, and I can add
Okay.
into their financial income,
Okay.
and I can be a support system. So they started supporting me. Every time I used to go there, either my dad or my brother, somebody used
Would
to accompany me.
Okay.
It was not that way that I was alone. No.
Okay.
Again, coming to the
So
point,
that's
that
a support as
yes,
well. Yeah.
that was a great support. My dad had been a very supportive kind of a man.
Okay.
But yes, again, that's, as I talked about, that education was a kind of, I must say, not supported idea, just because of the financial
I get it.
investment that they saw, that it is a waste of money. Why not to pay that 700 as rent instead of giving for the admission?
Exactly.
So it was something that they actually, but they couldn't see that it would guarantee a girl a secure future.
Do you remember the first thing you bought for your own self from your money?
Well, to be really honest, not clearly, but yes. The first huge amount that I gathered for myself out of a committee of, I think, 100 rupees.
Okay.
After a year, I got 1200, and out of that, 1100 I gave for
And we're
my
talking about, this is probably 2005, 6?
four.
2004. We're talking
I gave
about.
my admission fee for intermediate.
Okay, 2004.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so then you kept on working and you kept on studying on your own again, privately, bachelor's done privately,
Yes.
right? 2 years program, annual program, and what university was it?
It was Punjab
Punjab
University.
University. I also appeared in Punjab University, and those who appeared in Punjab University for bachelors, they know how grilling
True.
their assessment was.
Yes.
So you managed to pass it in the first go.
Yes, in the first go. I
Okay.
never had a supply. Never
Okay.
in my life.
Okay.
I never had.
And you all studied again. BA English was not easy.
Yes.
I'm absolutely certain it was not easy. So you studied that on your own because I think that was the crucial subject at that moment.
Yes.
So you studied that on your own.
That on my own, and it was a combination of journalism, and my journalism was in English because I did my matriculation in English medium, so I had
Okay.
to go with journalism, and that was again in English.
Okay.
And all without any support, without any guide, and then literature was least studied subject.
Yeah.
If you can
Yeah.
totally relate
Exactly.
to it, because at that time people were more into easier subjects.
I get
So
that.
literature was
Especially at
comparatively.
bachelor's level, it was not,
Yes.
taught,
Yes.
not even considered by many.
Yes.
At those who opt for MA English, MA Literature, they get to study it, but at bachelor's level, it was not a very
Yes.
frequent practice.
Yes. And in the university, again, dynamics are a little different and they're easy.
Mhm.
Semester system.
Hmm.
In yearly system, annual
Yeah.
one, it's
Yeah.
a little complicated.
It
And then
is.
again, as you talked about, that Punjab University is such a challenging system where you had a lot to study, a lot.
Okay. So, done with your bachelor's again, scoring good grades, and then, I mean, the crucial decision was obviously now that you proved your point that you're good enough to study on your own as well. So then you opted for obviously now the point that you had to go to some university,
Yes. Yes.
and for university, obviously you needed a lot of money.
Yes.
So then how you managed that? Were things improved financially for your family? They sub chipped in, or you had to do all again on your own?
Well, again, Ismail, there, when I did my bachelor's, my life took another turn. I was working in the same school, and my salary in those 4 years, it mounted from 700 to 1100.
Okay, 4 years, 400. Okay, increment of 400 in 4 years.
So when I passed my, bachelor's and I got my results in month of August, I remember it was 2006. I got it done and I went to my mom and I said that since I'm done with my degree, I am done with 14 years of my education. Now I want to work somewhere where I'll be paid better.
Okay.
And trust me, there was not a single support coming from the family.
Okay.
I did not have even 20 rupees in my pocket to go all the way from Adyala Road to Lalazar to apply in the, B grade schools.
Okay.
That paid better.
Okay.
Somehow I managed.
The school that you were teaching for the last 4 years, that was
in my locality.
Locality, and you used to go on. I mean, you just
On
walk
foot,
to.
yes. Yes.
You just go. Okay,
Yes.
walking. So the first time now you decided that I need to like expand.
Explore, yes.
Yeah, expand my horizon. So you went to another
Yes.
school.
We didn't have computers. I
Okay.
requested somebody. I asked him to make my CV.
Okay.
And when they prepared the CV, which they actually made, I was quoting somebody, telling someone that I have become so helpful to the people. If somebody asks me for any of the help, I don't ask for the second time that I'm to help them. Because when I went somebody to ask them to make me a CV when I didn't have a computer, it was something really hard. I have to really beg them. So they made me a CV, I prepared it, and then I went and applied for the job. And then I applied in the month of August. It was, I guess, 30th of August. On 7th September, I received the first call.
Okay.
And my salary, jumped from 1100 to 6500.
Oh, what a jump! Straight away.
Yes.
So, what school was it?
It was SLS. Siddiqa
SLS.
Learning.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So they acknowledged your potential right away,
Yes.
and you were selected right away.
Yes.
So now you were like obviously 6,500. The family must have been pleasantly surprised.
Oh, yes.
Or and then you decided that now I had to apply for
Yes.
my university as well.
Yes.
But how university and school side by side?
Well, when I joined Siddiqa Learning System, initially, obviously, my salary was 6,000,
Okay.
6,500, out of which I gave whole of my amount to my mom, and I kept only little amount for myself, and then I had to pay for my conveyance.
So Miss Fariba, honestly, tell me, didn't that you know that idea come to you that now I need to keep all the money to myself? That selfishness didn't creep in?
No, never.
Why?
Because I didn't see that selfish attitude from my parents. They invested wholly in us.
Okay.
Wholly.
Okay.
I must say, because my father didn't have any source, any other extra source of income, but whatever he earned, he always spent on us.
Okay.
And the thing that I learned from my family, and besides, to be really honest, I never thought of going against the family. I knew it that I have to be with them, I have to value my relationships, and I have to
Now,
gain
this
that trust.
balance is very, very, very important, and
Yes.
I am very interested in understanding this balance. What mindset, you know, helps you maintain this balance?
Well, I think it has to do a lot with the upbringing, the family environment, because your parents set an example for that.
Hmm.
The only complaint I had for time being from my parent was they didn't send me to college because I deserved to be with all of those girls, participate in the debates, and do a lot of stuff that I could have done. And I could have experienced that college life, which I couldn't do. And I still feel at times deprived.
Yeah,
I'll be very
obviously,
honest about it,
obviously, obviously.
because it was my time when I could have enjoyed my life. At that time, I was burdened with the responsibilities that a girl should not have been with. And trust me, I grew. People today, Ismail, people say that you are very old internally. Like when you talk, that you talk like an old lady, because I talk about the finances or I talk about emotional stability. So people don't relate to me. And I can't relate to the people of my age, not today, not even 10 years back.
Mhm.
So it was very, so the thing that I learned was like
They would
the
term you that
commitment.
Miss Fariba, you're a very materialistic lady.
A materialistic lady, and somebody tell me you're very constipated.
Okay.
The harshest comment I heard was you're very constipated.
Okay.
So because I am a product of what I had been through. I'm a
Okay.
product of what I have experienced. I am a product of what I had seen in my
Went through.
life.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to pass on a generic comment on
Hmm.
somebody. You haven't been in someone's shoe, so people need to avoid that. So that
Okay.
is something that I feel.
Okay, great. So you went to National University of Modern Languages?
Yes.
Okay. So you paid the admission fee from all that savings that you had?
Yes, I had to, you know, had I had to save for many years, from 2006 to 2010,
Okay.
for 4 years.
So, I mean, you used to give part of your salary to your mother and part in saving.
Yes, yes.
So, you didn't have adventures. I mean,
Mm.
obviously, the bachelor girls feel like having adventures because that is the time when you were like growing and young and all, a lot of stuff going on. So, you didn't feel like spending money on yourself?
Uh, Not really.
Not really?
No, not really.
Okay.
Uh, that seemed to be really honest, Ismail. I had battled and I had been in kind of circumstances in my childhood where getting food in time and sleeping peacefully at night when your landlord is not asking your parents to shift were the biggest achievements.
Wow.
So, going on a trip or maybe going for some adventures might be a luxury I never ever dreamt of.
Okay. So, what were your entertainment things back then? Everybody needs
Hmm.
entertainment. So, what were your entertainment things?
I was a tomboy.
Okay. Okay.
So I snatched my moments. I used to go out. I had my BMX cycle. I used to play with the boys. So that was something that I played
No,
for a
no,
really
that's
long time.
interesting
Hmm.
because you didn't go to college, you didn't go to college till your university. So one might think that you'll be struggling with an environment that had males.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you were in university, but as you said that you were already somehow exposed to play with the boys or out there in the market. So was it difficult to navigate yourself through when you were in Namal? Obviously, a completely different environment, boys in your class. I mean, young guns there. So, how did you navigate yourself?
Well, if I would put it this way, Smile, that I was brought up in the middle of two brothers. I had my younger brother and I had my elder sister, elder brother and younger brother.
Okay,
So I used to interact with their friends
friends as well.
more.
Okay,
So we used to play together. So
okay,
I was accompanied by these two brothers, and even my college time, when girls were going to college and I was home, I was friends and I was very close to them.
Okay.
So for me, it was like, and even when I was in school, it was a co-education system.
Mhm.
I had been part of all the debates. I had been part of. I was one student who did not let any opportunity go. In my school times, I remember that I won a competition of 24 schools, and I stood first in the speech debate competition.
Okay.
So if I would say that the kind of resilience or a kind of alien feeling for male was not there.
No,
It was not there.
okay.
I was quite vocal, even at that. Very, I
But did you feel like when you entered the university, that was the first time after your school life when you were entering a formal educational institution?
yes.
And obviously, your class fellows were coming from colleges. What was the difference between their academic caliber and yours? Did you struggle?
No,
You didn't.
no.
Okay.
Out of 54 students in my class, there were
Okay.
5 students who went in a go.
Okay.
They cleared. I was one of them.
Okay.
Like after 2 years, 50 students had supply in 1 or 2 subjects. I didn't have a
And you
single
were
subject.
working
I was working
beside your university.
besides my
And
university.
how you traveled all the way from Adyala to Namru?
The fortunate part, I was in the university that had the convent system.
Okay.
National University of Modern Languages had the buses.
Okay.
So it was a kind of a blessing. But it's my one part
But
that
the classes used to take place in the morning or in the evening?
in the evening.
So, so what I imagine is you running to your school in the morning, and then from your school running back to your home, leaving your bag, and then picking up your university bag and getting on the bus and going to university, and then getting back home late night, and then that's what life was like.
It was like that. One thing that Ismail, we missed out, like the kind of opposition I came across
Okay.
when I announced that I'm going to continue my university education.
Masters. Okay.
Yes, and for the first time when I announced that, and trust me, the opposition did not come from my dad.
Okay.
It came from my mom.
Why now? I mean, when you were earning good and you have already proved that you're good enough, you've got grades, you've done intermediate, completed your bachelor's. Was it like that? Now it's time for Fariba to get married. Was this her argument?
No, it
Okay.
wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't like that. Actually, along with that job that I was earning good amount, I was managing evening tuitions. So
Oh.
my salary was somehow doubled. So
Okay.
tuitions were paying me more.
Okay.
So somehow that very financial cutoff,
Oh.
was a kind of a threat to them.
Oh my God.
And on what condition I got, I don't know exactly if my mom is listening or not.
I mean, I really appreciate the honesty of it, but this is how it exactly works. I always believe that all the relationships are somewhat transactional.
Yes.
I mean, it might sound weird, but we need to be honest about it. Even the parents, they invest in us, and they see us as their investments, and
True.
they demand back. And I guess being parents, it's primarily their duty to feed us because they brought us into this world. We don't come to this world
By choice.
yeah, by choice. So somehow today's youngsters, I mean, they have this argument that why should we be responsible for education or for this? But that still would be a blame because you can't do anything about it. Now
True
you're
that.
there. So if you are like going into this shell and saying, okay, if our parents are not doing, then we are going to rebel, or we are going to not pursue our dreams because we are somehow caged by the financial circumstances of our parents, or the support is not there. So yes, I agree, and I understand the fact that that must have been an insecurity. So how, on what grounds you managed to convince her?
Well, I committed to them that after my university, I'll continue taking my tuitions. Even if I come at 7:30, 7 o'clock, I'll continue teaching. And which I continued for pretty like 2 years. Like I did not stop. Like I was taking tuitions along. Like
So
for one, I think if I'm not misquoting it, like for one semester I taught them. But then my mom also realized that it is hard for me to manage because I was a topper in the university as well,
despite
despite the
fact.
challenges.
Okay.
Yes, because the thing that I did not believe in is impossible,
Okay.
and you can't surrender.
Okay.
And I don't understand, like people say that we didn't have resources. Like we always have the resources, you always have the avenues, you only need courage.
Okay.
You only need to take a stand. So I was studying, I was managing my fee, and it was every semester. Ismail, it was another trouble for me that I have to pay the fee, I have
Yeah.
to pay for the bus.
What was the semester fee back then?
It was the first one, I think 64,000.
Even back then,
Yes,
it was
back then.
64,000.
And afterward, it was, I guess, 34, 35 something.
Okay.
Yes, each
Okay.
semester. But we had the bus as well. And, the reason I did not get a supply, let me tell you, that is a very interesting point.
Okay, I get
I
it.
had a fear
Okay.
that if I had to
Uh,
have, I told my parents that it's only for 2 years. If I had to add one more semester into it, then they would not allow me. They might ask me to stop going.
Now, this is very interesting. I mean, our conversation is going in a very interesting, direction because I also faced certain challenges in my academic journey. And today, in today's world, when people talk about all positive reinforcement towards the kids, uh, provide them with all comfort and all glory so that they don't have this inferiority complex. I do think that if they're not challenged, at times even this is somehow counterproductive.
True.
Because
Agreed.
as you talk about, it was the fear
Yes.
of spending some 64,000 extra. If and many of our friends today who are pursuing their MPhils, for example, a friend of mine, he was saying I had to do it this time because I don't think I can pay the next one.
Yes.
So that is actually a motivation,
Yes,
a
true.
negative reinforcement, a
Yes.
fear, but that can be a positive, that can result in a positive outcome. So yes, you were talking about the fact that you kept on, uh, you know, teaching beside your university. So a day, how would a day look like back then? Going, I mean, early in the morning to school, then university, then tuition. So I get now that what sort of adventure was that?
It was very hard, Ismail. If I would be very honest about it, that was the time period when I met somewhere after 2 years, because I don't remember that I had seen myself in the mirror so clearly. I met somebody after 2 years, and the person met me, at a mall, and she said, "What has happened to you?"
Hmm.
And I asked, like, "What happened to me?" She said, "You look very changed."
Okay.
And I couldn't figure out what she talked about. And then on the very same day, I got back, and I saw myself in the mirror.
Hmm.
I look like 10 years older than where I was.
Okay.
I had wrinkles.
Okay.
My, hair fall was massive. And, my
So all
eyes.
that hard work took a
Yes.
toll on your body.
Yes. Because mentally, and, I wasn't giving up. But my body was,
Oh.
somewhere, it was
Obviously, it
evident.
has its limitations.
Yes.
It has its limitations. So I mean, this is the sad part of it. Yeah,
Yes.
obviously, and that's why we when I was planning the show and when I was thinking on these lines, so that's why I termed as the challenges or the price.
Yes.
The price that you pay in order to become what you actually are. And many people obviously they don't want to pay that price.
Yes.
So do you have any guilt of, I mean, pursuing this path, or do you think that it would have been rather preferable if you had gotten married at the age of 20, 22, and have got settled?
Well, no, I never regretted that I did not get married
Mm.
early, because I never thought of getting married. And still, I am very open to it. If I'll be getting married to somebody, I'll know the person before marrying.
Okay.
I can't go for blind marriages. But yes, the I won't say the guilt, but a feeling that is in me that I grew old before the time.
Okay.
I grew too mature and too calculative, and it's something that I am misjudged for and I'm misinterpreted for in my surroundings by the people, and the people who never had been into my shoe. Okay. They
Okay.
had never seen life through my lens.
Okay.
So yes, this is not a kind of guilt, it's a kind of, I don't know, maybe I not, because guilt would somehow come in the negative connotation.
Exactly.
I don't have the
Exactly.
guilt. I grew strong, I can speak in public. I am vocal. I'm proud of myself.
Hmm.
Whatever I have become today, it is just because of the circumstances that has come to me unwillingly and unplanned. But yes, I wanted to have been a child at the age of 14. I wanted to be that girl who dreams of life. I didn't do it. I don't
Okay.
remember that I
But
fantasized
but but
anything.
but Fariba, the point is, I always talk about the fact that life is not what we idealize.
True.
Life is that somehow occur on us.
True.
So that is the point. Okay, you somehow dream of a certain life that you want to live, but then you have to negotiate with your realities,
Yes.
with the immediate realities. So I think yeah, obviously you dream of something ideal, and that's okay. We should always look out for something ideal, and those who get that ideal environment, they're lucky, and I mean they have a way with life. But those who do not get to have this luxury,
Mhm.
and they find those luxuries through their hard work and they earn it, don't you think that it's worthwhile?
It's worthwhile. It
Hmm.
is worthwhile. It is worthwhile. But I no at no point in my life would ever regret that I had been all the way and I have attained this with all my hard work.
Okay.
And there is not a single point, not a single person on this universe who would ever say that I had done anything without merit. Everything I did, like on basis of all my selections, anything that I did, it was primarily on basis of the merit. Okay. There was no shortcut in my life. Okay. Matlab, if you would actually say that, do you regret? No, I don't have a regret. That's but fine. At times, that very girlish part of me,
Yeah, that's
it
fine.
does say that,
It
like,
makes sense.
I could have enjoyed my life in a very carefree life. When I entered university, I was very much rigid and very much I must engage. When my father, Ismail, when my father sent me to the university for the first time, since I was his daughter and he loved me like anything, I was my dad's daughter, favorite daughter, and it is somehow evident in my personality because I'm vocal and all. So he told me one thing, and that is in Pashto language that this pagdi we call, this is something with this hat I'm wearing is something that is in your hand now. Okay. Maintain that. Okay. So for me, everything was conditional. Okay. Everything had a boundary. I couldn't do a lot of things. I couldn't actually sit with a male opposite. There was a point, I have become quite liberal now, that if I would be sitting with a male and if somebody would actually take a news to my family, what they would think. So that
Yeah, we
interpretation I
keep on
feared.
fighting, all those cages as we talked about. We are born free, but then we have the religious chants, we have the social chants, we
Social,
have the
traditional
cultural,
norms, culture, and
uh,
all.
and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of toll actually on ourselves to get rid of all those chants, and it takes a lot of time as
A lot
well.
of time.
So as you just mentioned that now you probably think it in a different way, and even when you are surrounded by males, you know that it's not just sitting or it's not just in interacting that would bring any harm.
True
So you
that.
know that it was so I mean we gradually come to terms with the realities of life. So when you were in your university and then you obviously were teaching and you were earning good, and someone like you who was quite vocal, I mean, people in the family or I mean, people in the neighborhood, they also have an eye, for such a girl. So there must have been proposals.
Yes, they had been. There had been always proposals at my workplace, and they had always been in the surroundings, in my locality, and in my dad's family. Good of my mom, she stood really strong in front of the my paternal
Paternal.
relatives because they were uneducated and they were very rigid. So my mother never wanted to,
Okay.
get us married to them.
Okay.
So this was a kind of protection. And then again, by the time my dad was alive, he was again not in, certain proposals, and even I wasn't interested.
They were not in a hurry to get you married.
No, 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 never.
That's great.
That was never. There was never a pressure in our. Still, if it's not a pressure, it was never before. It's never. The only constraint that I had struggled was the.
Do you think that again that factor also came, played its part that now you were like doing good, you were earning really good, and you were doing masters, and then after that you were obviously it was quite evident that you were going to get a good job. So do you think that that played also a part because you were the one who was primarily driving the financial aspects of your family?
Um, Are you thinking in from the very perspective where my parents did not think about it?
Yes.
No, it was not the case.
Okay.
It was not think because
Because these are that's how it happens most of the time. The pressure is there because they want to get rid of the child.
yes,
But when the child starts, supporting them, they think that
they
now
think
if they get them married,
it's the
now
real
that
investment.
support will.
Keep it, keep
Yes.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
it was not the case because be the fortunate, unfortunate, the true or any other part. It was not only me who was earning. My elder sister started earning as well
Okay.
at young age.
Okay.
My brother also started earning. My
Okay.
dad was earning, though a very small amount, but we all had our share.
Share.
So we all used to put our share, and this is how we ran the family. So
Okay.
it was that way. So it was not primarily onto my head,
Okay.
but yes.
Okay. So, Miss Fariba, I mean, all these challenges from being a young girl, and now you from young girl, the teenage, and then you became an adult. You were there in your university. How did you perform overall in your masters?
Um, as I think I already mentioned a few minutes ago, that I was a topper in my
I think you
university time.
mentioned about the first two semesters, but was it like throughout?
Throughout. In my own section, I had been throughout a topper. Like I had been out a few of those students who had scored like first division.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, that out of 54 or 56 students, like there were 5 to 6 students who passed out in the first school.
Okay.
I was one amongst all of them, two females and four males.
Fine.
We only passed. The rest of the class, they got supplies or something like that, and then they had
Fair
to redo
enough.
it.
So then, after completing your masters, how did you envision life for yourself then?
Then after my masters, I think I got more vocal.
Okay.
I felt more liberated,
Okay.
more avenues I
So
thought of exploring.
liberated just because you got the degrees
Yes,
behind you, and you were also financially stable now.
yes, yes.
Okay.
By the time when I did my metric, at that time, 10 years of education was quite a good amount for girls back in 2002.
Yes.
Okay. By the time I did my master's in 2010 to 12,
Okay.
at that time, even 16 years of education was very good.
Okay.
So then I, where I was getting 13,000 salary, I thought, no, now is the time to move to another avenue.
Okay.
But there was one constraint that I would always talk about. I was very vocal, and there came a point where I thought that since I studied journalism, I am to join maybe some news agency.
Okay.
So I knew it that my family wouldn't allow.
Oh.
I knew
Okay.
it. And Ismail, I'll be honest about it that there were so many avenues I didn't explore, couldn't not. I
You
didn't
didn't.
explore because I knew it. If I
Did-
would say it, I won't be allowed.
Okay. Okay.
I remember that I was, if I would ask to go on a trip with the university students, I would be stopped. I
Okay.
never asked.
Okay.
So
So
I,
this is a very, I mean, this emotional intelligence. How I mean, this is a big issue. You are dealing with youngsters. You're a teacher, because this is an issue. I teach, and a lot of parents come to me and they say, our kids, if we stop them from doing a particular thing, they start rebelling, or they would go into a shell. They won't eat. But you were not only supporting them, you were supporting your own education. You were doing job, and yet you somehow listened to them. And even if you didn't like them, as you just mentioned, there were a lot of things that you wanted to do, but then there were pressures. How did you like keep this balance? What is it that helps one keep this balance?
well, I was not thankless. I'll only say that thing. Today, children are very thankless, I would say.
Okay.
Because as you said that parents they think that their children are a kind of investment.
Okay.
I actually, fortunately, unfortunately, no matter what people say, that I studied religion more in depth by metric and then intermediate. I connected a lot of things with the religion.
Okay.
And then I did not, by this time, everybody says toxic is a word that we have heard so much.
Okay.
At that time, it was not. It was parents are right.
Okay.
My parents are right. They
Okay.
don't want anything bad for me.
Okay.
They would decide the best for me. If they're asking me not to do a particular thing, because they know the
So when
world
you when
outside
you
is
when
not
you
good.
reflect on this very idea of parents are right idea now, if I ask you to give an honest opinion, I mean now you've left a lot of things behind. So do you still think that this very notion was okay?
No,
No,
no.
you should have like taken some initiatives on your own.
Yes,
So now this is the greatness, I mean, of a person's personality, that you don't see things in binaries.
yes,
I mean, obviously, she's talking about her parents being right at so many points, but then there are points where she now reflects that she might have, questioned their wisdom, or she might have opted for something that she actually wanted. So yes, I guess this is how life is. And you wanted to say something.
yes. As you ask about that, do you think that your parents were right at that time, or still they're right, or something like that? To be really honest, I had a realization even at that age that they're wrong at certain points.
Okay.
But I knew it that the reaction would be too intense, and I wouldn't be able to stand it.
Okay.
So knowing I wanted
Realization.
to, yes, that realization that
Living in the reality.
this is not the right time to react.
Okay.
Today I'm coming on a show, I go to television or I go anywhere. It's just because I earned it.
Okay.
If I would have,
That's wonderful. I mean, you have to earn. This is the point, because independence, that's what I asked in the beginning. What is independence? And independence is something that you do not just get it.
yes,
You
you earn
have
it.
to earn it, and then you can like enjoy. It might come too late for so many
True
people.
that.
It does, because it's not always straightforward. But if she's here and she's talking vocally, and I know a lot about her because we have worked for almost a decade now together. But the point is that all that confidence that stems from your personality, this confidence somehow is the result of that earned independence. Because if
Indeed.
you get privileges, right, and you get those privileges because of someone else,
Yes,
then that independence, that liberty is compromised.
true that.
Even if you're talking here, if the people who have like played a part or had a lion's share in your success or in your independence, you would still be like not as vocal as you are.
Yes.
So yes, if you want to enjoy life, I guess this is especially for girls. I would really want to talk about this aspect, that this very notion, because you are a teacher yourself, that there is someone who will come and who will rescue and who will be your prince charming. And even if that's fine, I mean, at an idealistic level, how do you see, I mean, running a family and just thinking that a male would be the breadwinner for you, and he would be somebody who would support you? Don't you think that even if it's true and even if it happens, I mean, as you said, not many males you would get who would do that, but even if somebody you are lucky enough and you get that, don't you think that that still is not giving yourself a chance to explore your own personality?
Well, Ismail, if I would be actually saying that you went all the way to make yourself somebody you feel really proud of.
Okay.
So you won't actually compromise over anything.
Okay.
And you don't dream of Prince Charming coming and, you know, making you fed or heard or something like that.
Mm.
I understand that the human psychology or human body has certain limitations.
Yes.
However, at the same point, the way you're talking about in the present times or in the current era, where the life or living style or life standards have changed, the dimensions have changed.
Dimensions of
My dad used to work and he used to support and feed the whole family.
Okay.
Now we are living a life where there is no Prince Charming. The prince who is coming, he would be wanting a princess by his side.
Okay.
And if a labor is coming, he would be wanting a lady, another
Yes.
lady. So it's more of a partnership.
Okay.
So I usually tell everybody that now marriages are a kind of contract, partnership. You're working and your partner is working, and then you both are running family or something like that.
Mm.
So that's how it actually goes. So there is no concept of Prince Charming. You would really find until unless he's Prince of Dubai or any other place, we can talk about it. But again, for that you need an ex perfume.
Yeah, exactly. I agree that. So, after completing your master's, you started again, obviously, working,
Yes.
and now it was a full-time job.
Yes.
So, how did you like I mean, step by step, we people who are called the self-made people, they like envision life step by step. A house for themselves, a car for themselves, certain plots, or so somehow your future is secured. So, what were your like step by step goals?
Um, Ismail, one point I missed that when I was working with SLS and I planned of going for my master's from NAML. The first thing my principal told me, and I don't know exactly if she's listening or not, ma'am, I won't name her. She told me that why are you wasting money on your masters?
Okay.
Collect the money and get married.
Yeah, that's what I was
All of
saying.
the
Yeah, the
girls are,
peer pressure.
yes, all of the girls,
So I think you should talk about peer pressure more as well, because you were vocal and you obviously had friends getting married and probably posting pictures from
yes,
Australia. And
yes,
how do you see this thing? How do you navigate, and because I think this is, because yesterday I was doing the program, and around 45 youngsters got drowned, got murdered somewhere in Morocco.
mhm,
And initially it all triggers from the peer pressure. People are sending photos and videos from Australia or from Europe or from anywhere. I'm here, I'm enjoying life, you also come. So obviously the temptation is there.
yes.
How you resisted that temptation from your friends probably getting married at your age at that point of time? Now you're good, you have completed your degree, you have made your mark, so probably there were temptations. So how you managed to resist that peer pressure?
Um, Ismail, I was very focused.
Okay.
I
Focus.
really got very much impressed by the external, you know, let's suppose pressures. For example, if somebody is getting married, I was okay about it. I used to go to the that event, and I used to enjoy, and I used to get back.
Okay.
And somehow this belief that everything has a time. And I won't say this thing on a show that being born in Eastern society, I never wanted to get married. No,
Okay.
I am clear, loud. Like our parents want, and I always wanted. If I would have come, but marriage for the sake of marriage was not something that I would ever go for.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
Like even if I would not marry, that is something very okay with me. I
Okay.
am perfectly okay with the concept of going single throughout my life.
Okay.
But marriage for the sake of marriage, I never thought. Again, the peer pressure you talked about, I knew it. I have to do my masters, I have to grab a very good job, I have to become stable in my life, and then I'll think about it. And
Okay.
then whosoever I'll get married, I'll sit on the table and
Hmm.
I'll talk about the things that I've talked. I
Hmm.
never wanted to become a mother who would be toxic. I would never be wanting to get into a relationship where there would not be both the partners would not be knowing about the basic values.
Mhm.
So somehow I knew that education must have to give us that strength to actually talk to the opposite gender on very practical grounds.
Great, great. That's a wonderful realization, because that's how actually life works. We somehow get married, we bring kids into this world, and we do not know how to even raise them.
Yes.
We are unqualified. I mean, we are talking about life here. Uh, when we are appearing for an exam, we want to be well prepared.
True.
But when we are appearing for an exam of
Life
life
exam.
and we have no idea,
Yes.
I mean, kids getting married and then they have their own kids and they do not know how to look after them. And there's so many examples about that, and it becomes such a toxic environment as you just talked about, and lives of those kids, because you're bringing other people into the world as well, and that really is a problem as you
And you're
just
not
talked about.
spoiling yourself. You're
Exactly.
spoiling their lives.
Obviously.
It's mess.
Yes. So, yeah, as we talked about the goals that you set for yourself, I know that you really worked hard. You saved a lot of money to achieve certain goals. Uh, Today, I think in the third decade of 21st century, girls still struggle. I mean, it's optimistic that a lot of girls are driving, but still there is a fear. Still, girls struggle. But I know that you drive.
Yes.
And I think you started driving in the second decade of the 21st century. So, I mean, this fear again. Many girls have cars at their homes, but they just don't drive because, again, I think they have this in their mind that that car is somehow, sponsored by, it is owned by their father or their brother or the family. So that fear that might, you might get involved in an accident, and again the financial loss. So how did you manage to earn this liberty, because driving and moving around, this is also a privilege.
Yes.
It's not common. People just might not realize this, but I guess it's a big privilege that you have this independence, that now you, I think you came here on your own car, driven by you. So what is your input with regard to this skill, especially towards the ladies?
Um, Ismail, you actually talked about that when a girl drives a car, or when a woman is driving a car and that is sponsored by someone or whosoever,
Hmm.
not I'm specifying gender,
Yeah, yeah.
whosoever, when you have this idea
Hmm.
that if I'll hit the car,
Hmm.
if I'll have an accident,
Hmm.
I'll be answerable.
Okay.
I don't have that fear.
Hmm.
This is primarily my own thing. I
Because
am an
you
independent.
paid for it.
Yes.
So again, if you want to have this liberty, it all boils down to this very aspect: earn it.
Yes, earn it.
Yes.
And you have to put effort.
Mm.
You have to work hard. That is the right time when you have to do it, and then you will not have fears.
Yeah, rather than complaining and whining,
Yes.
why they don't give us, they don't feed us, do it yourself.
Yes, do it yourself.
Yes.
And when you are, as you asked me this very thing, that how did you feel when your parents did certain things, and did you think that they were wrong? I knew it, that they were wrong at so many points. They would have somehow managed my college education by by somehow crunching their own, you know
Yes.
but at the same time, that I knew it, that if I would have resisted at that time,
Mhm.
that resistance would have a side effect, and it would have
Well,
affected
it
me.
had probably enclosed
Yes.
those venues that were open.
Yes,
Yeah.
I had earned their trust,
Mm.
and by building on that trust, I actually attained all of those goals that I have set for myself.
Mm.
I knew it that bypassing them, I won't be able to do it.
Okay.
They were in majority. My dad was there, my mom was there, and I had my siblings and
And also,
everybody.
I mean, we are social human beings,
Yes.
and we need emotional support from the people who we befriend, or our
Or
families.
family.
So we can't just obviously stay, and we can't have an isolated, alienated life. So these were the challenges.
Yes.
Now coming to the perks. What are the perks of being an independent woman in particular?
Well, Ismail, perks are massive. We have massive perks. Once you are independent, you can do whatever you want.
Hmm.
You have the liberty to travel, you have the liberty to eat whatever you want, you have the liberty to make choice
Hmm.
for whomsoever you want to get married, even the very
Yeah,
traditional
yeah,
concept if it
exactly.
comes. So the boundaries that I felt, the challenges that I you know had battled for really long, now they all turn into perks.
Okay.
Like now, if I would like to tell that if I go to on trainings of British Council, or maybe US Embassy is sending the project, if I was working, if I want to go somewhere, I don't need to ask for permission.
Hmm.
I tell them that I'm going.
You can travel
Yes.
any part of the world.
Yes, but there was a time when I had to go with my school fellows or my college, my university fellows. It was
You
hard
see
to
the
go.
difference going on a school trip to going on an international trip.
Yes, yes,
You earn it.
yes, you earn it.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, it's quite insightful in this sense of the word. Now, I mean, when we talk about being vocal about certain aspects, as you talked about, you are here today on radio, you have been to TV shows as well.
Yes.
And this was something that you initially like, it was one of your passions to be on air, right?
Yes.
Again, it came to you in one way or the other. At that point of time, I think even if you were invited as a guest on a show, your family probably won't allow it. How are you on camera, on TV? So again, I think that is also something that you've earned it.
Yes.
So we talked about, like, for example, traveling was not something that was granted. You earned that.
Yes.
Talking.
Career choice.
Yeah.
As I talked about that, by the time I did my bachelor's, I had my subjects journalism with English. It was a combo. I remember that I always wanted to join some press club or some news agency or something like that,
Hmm.
but I knew at that I would not be allowed. But when I came out of that challenges, and I'm landing, and I've landed right to the perks area, now if I want to become a journalist, if I want to join any channel, I know nobody would stop me.
Yes, exactly.
At this point, I am mature enough to deal with a lot of challenges all by myself, and they are becoming or serving as perks. So it's a thing that, but yes, everything has a cost.
Yes.
You pay a hefty amount of energy,
True.
of your time, and there's so many nights when you trust me, Smile, you go, you know, sleepless, thinking about it, because it's a human mind and you can't stop it.
True.
No matter how strong you are, no matter how vocal you are. But again, as you talked about being vocal, trust me, I am judge on my this trait.
I mean,
Resilience time.
a trait that earns you money.
Yes.
You are being judged on the same trait.
Yes.
So it's fine. I mean, that is something that has brought what it has brought to you.
Yes.
You are what you are because of this very trait. A teacher, a speaker, a trainer has to be vocal.
Yes.
You need to express yourself. And because you express yourself, certain people obviously feel annoyed. They don't like it because people want to have certain people who are tamed rather, or who can easily be tamed, or the people who do not have their own voice. So yes, I mean, yeah.
One incident I'll tell, that I just went to university on, yes, it was, I guess, last year. So a man just crossed me and he hit me mistakenly.
Okay.
So I just thought that it is by mistake.
Okay.
I went upstairs to my HOD's office, and the moment I was, about to step in, the guy again opened the door and he again pushed me and just left.
Oh.
I stood in the corridor, and all the students were sitting in the corridor, and I just called that guy. I said, "Excuse me, sir, will you please listen to me?" He turned back, and I asked him that this is for the second time repeatedly that you hit me.
Okay.
You didn't stop, and you didn't ask me. You didn't ask for an
Apologize.
apology. I mean, I don't understand. And then later on, I got to know that he was a PhD graduate with a foreign degree,
Okay.
who did not know how to walk.
Okay.
Well, the guy asked for an apology. He said, "I'm so sorry. I forgave him, but I told him that you're a role model. Students are sitting here if you would not know how to walk," something like that. But on the very same point, a colleague of mine who just got recently appointed was sitting inside, and he was observing everything. And we were sitting in a public gathering in a meeting, and he said that I got really frightened when I saw you.
Oh.
You confronted somebody. And I said, did I do something wrong? I said that I told him what he did wrong to me, and I was supposed to do it. He said, most of the women, they don't do it. I said, but I did the right thing. But again, he told me that that is the reason that people, they don't like you. You're too vocal. You tell me, where had I been wrong for pointing out something that hurt me, for pointing out something that was unethical, for telling somebody that you didn't do something right. But since you're a woman, you're not supposed to say it. I mean, you can't set boundaries, and if you do that, you clearly, marked as somebody who's vocal, too vocal for the society. And then again, I'm a product of what I had been through. Yes. A girl who's in the market since 2002. How can you expect that person who's dealing on, multi platforms, on so many platforms with a lot of males and females and professionals and colleagues, you ask him to be dumb? Society made me this way. Yes. It was the circumstances, and you want me to go tongueless, not to speak, not to say anything. So it's very hard that in Eastern society you created strong, independent women, women whom you supported when they performed well on the stage. Women were supported when they earned well, but you didn't support them when they actually questioned. Okay. So that is a hard thing.
I really like, I mean, this comment, this notion, this idea, because people generally appreciate. Yes. How you're a wonderful speaker, you're a fluent speaker, you're vocal, you have things to say. But this somehow, as you, I think, you were pointing towards the fact that such ladies, such women who are independent, most of them in our society, there is a fear with regard to them as well. Yes. People do not want to befriend them.
Yes.
Even people are skeptical for the fact that whether it's okay to get married to such a lady. Yes. Who is such a strong-headed lady, because they had this fear, because obviously in a patriarchal society, the society that we live in, you somehow want your counterpart, especially the men, they want their counterpart to be obedient toward their
Yes.
family or to certain norms and not question that. So this is probably the price that you're talking about, because that's, I would term it as a hypocritical approach of our, especially our men, towards this very approach, that they somehow appreciate you earn, they appreciate you being like vocal and talk about on other platforms, but when it comes to that very aspect where you're dealing head on with that particular individual or your counterpart,
Then
that's where
you feel threatened and you're too
exactly
weak to
insecure.
take opposition.
Exactly.
I always say, if I'm wrong, I would always ask for an apology.
Mhm.
But if you have a point, let's talk on the table and discuss.
So, do you think that the independent women, they need to take a step back?
With regard to,
I mean, for example, this very notion that they need not to be this firm on every platform.
um, well, I don't think so.
You don't think
I
so?
don't agree.
Yes, because I mean, I agree with the fact that because they want people, and this is how our world sadly is, because we want people to be silenced.
Yes.
We want them not to express
Yes.
their inner voices.
Yes.
Even if we talk about politics, we talk about religion, we talk about any other aspect of life, anybody who has a say is somebody who is a threat to the power structures. And I think even in relationships, there is always a power structure at risk. So then it happens, and many people believe that such strong independent women, and they call them like derogatory terms like aunties, and they have like they don't listen to
Psychopaths,
psychopaths. Yeah.
constipated,
Yes.
and what title they give is quite insulting and humiliating, but at the same time that they don't understand that a woman who becomes that strong headed had been through a long journey.
Yes.
She had been encountering massive challenges. In order to be at a certain point with that integrity requires a lot of patience. You never know that what kind of travel she had taken or what kind of path she had taken, how many nights she had gone sleepless. You don't know. You can't be in someone's shoe.
Exactly.
So if you I'll very openly quote someone's statement about me. Somebody said that I really like you, but if you would stop your the speedy tongue, I can think positive about you. And I said one thing, I'm very open if the person is listening, that I am born with this tongue. I am a product for what I am. You can't change, modify me. And Ismail, the
No,
way
it's okay. I mean, to reflect about and change is something. It's a constant phenomenon.
yes,
The more we differ, the more we remain the same. This is also a paradoxical way, but still, one thing that remains constant in this world is change. We are evolving. We are changing, and I'm sure you have evolved, and I'm sure the people who have become independent, or those who had a long, history of struggle, they realize this is not something that you are stubborn with regard to this, but what are you asking for? I guess that's very important.
what status are you in?
Yes.
I had been a compromising daughter. I had been a supportive daughter. I did not violate the norms my parents settled. Never, not for a single day. I remember what my dad said to me on the first day when I joined university. My class fellows can give the testimony that I remained very steadfast in that. So I had followed each and every instruction that came from that very. So I'm a very family woman.
Yeah.
But one thing people need to understand, that it's not always by force and humiliation. Things are to be made understood, they are to be talked about, they are to be negotiated, they are not to be in a way where you are telling the other person that you are inferior. The amount you're earning, maybe I'm earning the same amount. Maybe I am, if you are working 9 to 5, I'm also working 9 to 5, right? So I'm not waiting for my prince charming. People need to understand. So women who is out has got her own challenges. She's also dealing with the bosses, she's also dealing with a lot of complex situations.
True.
So you need to understand her state of mind as well. So it
Okay.
is all about that, the how dynamic family dynamics have changed, and how people our men particularly who are working with the females, you know, they do not accept this reality. They're not ready to accept this reality that family dynamics have changed, lifestyles have changed. Women are, heading with the men on every sphere of life. So this thing is something they have accepted professionally maybe, but not in their personal lives.
Lives. True. And I think again, when it comes to personal life, there is this probably jealousy factor as well.
Yes.
We might call, it if we talk about marriage, because you have to somehow come up with compromises. And I guess if your counterpart is like more uh, into professional life or had more experience than you or had more understanding of the life, uh, you still feel threatened.
Yes.
You still feel insecure. So insecurity is something, I guess, that's a big factor, and people are insecure of independent women because they haven't actually lived such or they haven't actually worked in their personal lives with such independent strong characters.
Yes.
So yes, heading towards the last part of our program. So Miss Fariba, I know I think we have talked offline about this some years back as well. That you're somebody who like kept on saving and you ended up probably buying a house of your own. This is such a big achievement for a lady who started at the age of 14. I mean, many girls today talk about our parents are not, supportive, and we could have done this and we could have done that. But again, the point that it takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
How many years of hard work, how many years of compromising on your whims and your wishes bring this very like fruit?
Well, Ismail, the major investment that I have, as we talked about, that was I got a car. My house that I had is obviously it's on a lease, but yes, it was a decision that I had to make because knowing the fact that how many challenges are coming ahead,
Okay.
and maybe we live in a society where somehow acceptance towards such women is not
Yeah.
very open,
Common, yeah, it's
not
not.
common. So I felt that I should have something of my own.
Okay.
And then I decided, and I think on very practical grounds, like I am less of an emotional person, more of a practical person. So I keep my calculations on that how things go, and that goes similarly for the institution of marriage.
Do people call you stingy?
People call me what not.
Acha.
There is not a single title that I haven't heard from the people.
No, I mean, is it okay to be called stingy? Is it okay to be called a miser? If people think of you as a miser or someone who is always very calculated and doesn't spend, extra cash on stuff that's like just for public gallery.
If I would actually divide it in this way, I am not miser. I'm neither miser nor extravagant.
Okay.
Like
So there's a balance
I'm
again.
okay. Yes, I'm okay with an Android phone. I would not be spending like a friend of mine got a phone for 4,75,000. I told her that you could have invested it somewhere really well.
Okay.
So I think, more of a wise person in terms of money spending.
Okay.
And as long as
And again, it comes from all that experience. I
yes,
mean, if you have always been fed and supported by a male from your family, father for many women, it's like father till their 25th, 26th, 27th birthday, and they have enjoyed all that perks and what we call, I mean, being born with a golden spoon in their mouths. So they won't obviously understand the value, because again, as we talked about, this is to be earned.
yes,
And you have started working at the age of 14.
yes,
So at that time, because it becomes habit is second to nature, as we call it, it became a habit because at that point of time, you had to be calculated.
yes, I had to be calculated. And as you mentioned that if you were miser, if you are stingy or something like that, I had never been that. If I would see a suit that is for, let's suppose, on a brand for 8,000 or for 10,000, and I can get the very same piece of cloth and I can get it stitched on the same pattern from my tailor for 2,000, why not?
What's bad in?
Exactly.
I think this
Why
is
don't you
called
use your
intelligence.
sense?
That's
Yeah.
intelligence.
Use your common sense. So I actually believe that you need to look classy,
Mhm.
Yet you need to be within your own budget. Don't go
True.
beyond your budget. You should not be asking people for any kind of support. So I never dreamt beyond my budget. Everything I always planned as per my budget. And I am, and that is something again comes with these circumstances, with the life that I live, with the kind of jobs I did, with the kind of plannings I have to do for my masters and then for my MS and all the other stuff. So and then from planning to buy a car and from shifting, purchasing another car and
Yeah,
changing
yeah,
the model and
changing.
all. So everything was, if I would not have been calculative, or if I might have been a spendthrift, so maybe things would not have been that way for me.
True, true. So, how many universities have you taught?
I think one, two, three, four, five, six, seven.
Seven universities.
Yes.
So, again, is it that because you're too vocal, people somehow kick you out of their universities?
um, Majorly, I did not take permanent position
Mhm.
in the universities in the initial year because I was working at many places,
Okay.
and I did
Again,
not.
so working at many places was probably because you wanted to have these
Yes.
achievements, and just working at one place was not enough.
Yes.
Okay.
I just thought that when you become a regular permanent employee within an organization, you are liable.
Okay.
Then it's 9 to 5 job.
Okay.
By the time when I was obviously younger, so I had more stamina to travel from one spot to another, one point to another, and earn and earn and earn. At that time, I earned as much it was required. And one more thing I would add is like I'm not kind of person who dreams of a luxury or fancy life. I am very happy with whatever I have. A small house, a small car, an Android phone, all is okay with me. I don't dream beyond. I don't have huge dreams. No.
Okay.
I'm okay with the life, with the pace it is going. I believe in hard work, commitment, and integrity that you have to maintain. So, yes, it was a constant hard work and multiple jobs was primarily because it was not a permanent position. But yes, currently I'm working as a permanent faculty member with the university. Meanwhile, I have another position as a freelance training consultant with British Council.
Okay, that's great. So, this very notion, this very idea that, I mean, people think if you're working in too many places or you're always working, there's also this very idea that probably you are too ambitious
Yes.
or you're too materialistic. How do you see this?
Ismail, I think we had talked before, and I just told you about that. I got appointed with the university back in 2018.
Hmm.
Yes, when I got back from US in 20, or it was 2018. I got appointment letter. I was on a training somewhere. I received a call, and for that very interview, I had been through two major panel interviews and one demo in front of the vice chancellor of the university. I successfully accomplished and attained all of my targets. I received a call and they asked me to come and pick your appointment letter and negotiate over the salary. I reached a university, parked my car, and it's a well-known university of Pindi, Islamabad. I went there and I had a meeting with the registrar. Registrar opened my CV out of nowhere. He he had been through that and he said that you're working here and you're working here, and he counted all the places I was working. And I was working at multiple places, but it was not a permanent position. Yeah. And he said that I'm sorry, I cannot appoint you. I just told him one thing, that my CV came to you before. You could have gone all of these through all of these statistics before. Now, when I covered all of these challenges and I have come to the point
Very good.
where I intentionally want to settle for a permanent job, and that is something I look forward and that is something I aim for, and I decided.
Okay.
So, why are you saying no to me? He said, no. You're earning far better. Our salary will be a meager amount, so you need to revisit your decision.
Okay.
Trust me, I didn't say anything. When I came out, I was really upset. I'll be very open about it. When I called a friend and she suggested me to go and talk to the, some high up there, and I said no. I am okay with the decision they have made. I have more avenues to explore, and then, Alhamdulillah, there were more avenues, and I attained better than that.
Okay. So do you think that because there was a long journey, you really worked hard and you worked for hours and hours, now is the time you think that you had enough of it, and now you whatever you are earning through your permanent job or the freelancing work that you do, you're fine now and you are content, you have achieved that contentment and you think that life is smooth now.
Yes, life is a dimension. Now things are not that panicky,
Okay.
and now I'm not lost. Above all, I am not dictated for a lot of things. I
Okay.
am free in my choices and in my decisions.
Okay.
However, if I would say that I'm fully content,
Hmm.
no, it's not the end of the world. I have more dreams that I still have to attain. I want to actually make, something that I am dreaming of.
Okay.
So yes, that's not the end of the world. Yeah, I have dreams. I have more, goals and targets that I have to attain. Yes.
Fair enough. So, I mean, obviously, in order to achieve and attain those goals, still the hard work is there.
Yes.
So, aren't you tired of, like working, and all the hard work?
Well, Ismail, something is very funny that I would tell that my body has become very much attuned,
Okay.
accustomed to hard work.
Okay.
So I don't feel tired now.
Okay.
I mean, I keep working. I go home. I even, clean my house. I do all the. I don't have a maid, no house help. I do it all by myself, and I even do cooking, cleaning, washing, and everything, and I don't feel tired about it. And I am,
So with with
alhamdulillah.
with 9 to 5 job, you're also managing
Yes,
your
domestic
house,
chores. Yeah,
and without any
house
help.
help. No,
Okay, that's great. So, Ms. Fariba, it was such an insightful, discussion, and I hope men as well as our women that are listening today, our listeners, both across, the Facebook platform as well as our radio platform, they have learned and they have understood how to, understand an independent woman as well,
yes,
and also the fact that it's not the marriage is not the only thing,
yes,
because I'm extremely concerned about this whenever I get to hear this. The young girls, very young, the girls, not even, I mean the young kids of 5 to 6 year age, and they have been taught, and they talk like this, that we'll do this, once we grow up we'll get married, once we grow up we'll get married. So there is more to it in the life, isn't it?
it is. In fact, it is. From that very doll's play to doll's housemaking and everything, a girl is taught that you are living here and you have to depart. Life is far beyond that. And Ismail, now 21st century has changed the life dimensions.
Yes.
It has become very difficult even for let's not take males out of that equation.
Yeah.
They're putting equal efforts. Challenges are more. So
They are.
as an independent woman, you become good partners.
Yeah.
There is nothing bad
You
about it.
share the
Marriage,
burden.
yes,
Yeah.
marriage is a beautiful institution. I am a product of marriage and I'm really proud of it. And that is not something that I'll take. No, I am someone who would be, not going for
But
it.
that should not be the only,
That should not be
the
the
only
only.
thing the girls look
Yes,
forward to. That's
that's
the point. That's the
yes,
problem that
yes,
I figure out is, once you are settled, you have a career.
yes.
Because what happens is, if I mean, this has happened to my own family. I mean, females in my own family, it has happened because they were not educated. They got married, and what happens if the other person turns out to be a rogue?
True.
Take care what happens, because you somehow got them married to an individual, and now you got them married and you say you have to compromise. And even if they don't compromise, what's the option left? You have not helped them educate.
Yes.
They can't have a good job. So what would they do? They would keep on, obviously, sacrificing their integrity. They would keep on sacrificing their whims and wishes to just to be in that relationship.
And then the product of that relation, the children,
Exactly.
they suffer the most.
They suffer the
And
most.
then they become victim of a kind of disrespect, humiliation,
They do.
abusive kind of environment, and then they do the same when they get into the market.
Yes.
In the
So
society,
yeah.
because it's a cycle that moves on and moves on. So you're very much right that marriage is one institution.
Okay. Yes.
It's one sector, one segment of life, and it is to be that if a man who is independent working and a woman is pairing up together, they need to
Yes.
make a good life, a beautiful
Yes.
life.
Yes. They can make it. And even if you do not want to like do a job in future, that's fine. Even if you, I mean, it's not always about being professionally active.
Yes,
It's
it's not
it's
always.
great if you feel like doing it, do it. Even if you do not feel like professionally active, and you think that whatever is being earned and whatever is being provided is okay, and you can look after, because even looking after a house is a complete job. It's not like
Yes.
something that's
It's a full
ordinary.
job.
And we get to have people, we get to have friends who earn the financial aspect of the family life, and then we have the ladies who
We're managing
basically
with the
look
domestic
after the
affairs.
kids, they look after the domestic affairs, and that's a complete job in
Complete
itself,
job, yes.
right? So I mean, I'm okay with that. But this
Me
this
too,
just
okay.
this notion that uh, I mean, preparing your girls, preparing your daughters in such a way that we will get them married to millionaires or billionaires or rich people, and then they'll enjoy that. Why not, encourage them? Why not support them in this way that, but this is your life, we are there with you. So I mean, we are there to get you married whosoever you want, but we would definitely like you to be, at a point where you can make your decision as well, where it's not always about one individual who has the upper hand, because finances are a very, very, as Jane Austen says, it's all about marriage. It's all about economy, it's all about money. At the end of the day, it all boils down to economy. So if someone has an upper hand with regard to economy, you would not have the same integrity. You would not be sharing the same sort of decision making power.
True.
So this is something that I really want, our young girls to understand, that get married. You want to get married. You eulogize married life. You want to be a bride. It's okay. It's
It's
perfect.
okay. Ismail, one thing I'll add that dreaming of getting your children married off to a billionaire or a millionaire is not something bad. That's okay.
Okay.
But understanding the fact that that millionaire or a billionaire can turn into a beggar on any day,
Exactly.
where would your daughter or son would stand?
That's the point.
So yes, you need to get them educated, independent.
No. And again,
And so they should be ready for all the challenges they will be encountering ahead. That is okay.
yes.
So even if they are looking after some domestic chore because husband is financially stable, or if not financially stable, she's supporting.
She can chip in.
Either way, she can always chip in. She can always be a support system, and there is nothing bad about it. My point is only this thing that when a woman is working 9 to 5, she's going out. You need to have a little compromise over the things that
Yeah,
you
obviously.
don't expect her to make 12 gold rotiyan,
Obviously.
and don't expect her to be that robotic and that consistent with the domestic responsibilities, because your mothers had been doing what my mother had been in the at home from morning till evening. When I reach home after driving for 1.5 hour, and in the morning I drive for 1.5 hour, and then I stand in the classes, I deal with the administrative task, and people who are doing other jobs, women who are working with the corporate, must have more challenges. They might have toxic bosses. So why don't you understand that they have their physiological, their psychological, emotional needs as well? They also need pamperedness. They also need understanding. It's not one end. My point is only a little good grooming, counseling of these men as well. A little.
Yeah.
They need to have understanding. I am not against ever institution of
I
marriage.
totally agree.
I am a little curious, and I'm a little upset over this thing that this
Again,
is
I mean,
misinterpretation.
we are entering into the domain of parenting.
Yes.
And when I say, I mean, when you don't push your girls, and you don't bring them with the fact that you're just a product, and the eventuality of it is going to be the marriage,
Yes.
right? If you don't do that with your girls, then comes your boys.
Yes.
And then, I mean, comes that part that, okay, I mean, you are obviously, because the boys, they are also getting married, but that's not their primary focus.
True that.
I don't
That's
see that. They don't see life. Even if they are getting married to the love of their life, this is not their primary. But the other way around, I guess the life is seen by a woman through this primary institution. That's the problem. I mean, the men, they don't see it as a primary. They have their political lives, they have their social life, their business life, their religious life. So they have this institution, but it's not the primary concern of them.
True that.
So in order to, I mean, give the girls the same idea that that is part of it.
It's part of
This
it.
is not the primary thing.
True that.
Yeah, this is not the only thing in your life.
True.
So I think if they can understand this, they'll be equally they'll be on equal footings. And then the men will also realize, and they'll have to step back.
True that.
They have to step back, because if you are obviously contributing,
Hmm.
contributing in any way,
Yes.
and you have a voice, you have an independent identity, then nobody can actually nullify that identity of yours.
True that.
Because you have achieved it, you have earned it. That's just not something that can be taken away.
True.
So that's like, we've talked a lot about independence. We talked about the perks, we talked about the challenges, and nothing in this world comes without challenges. And I think the women out there, they should know this as well. And the men there, they should also know this, that if they are supporting, they are upbringing independent women, they are an asset. And I'm sure Miss Fariba is an asset to her family, to her brother, to her father, or the other men of her family, not only to her mother or her sisters, or for herself. So, and then if we just see it and we broaden the horizon, these women are an asset to our society, they are an asset to our community. So the more independent individuals, now I would come down to individuals, the more independent individuals we have, the better society we have. The more independent humans we have, the people who do not look up for their tiny needs to some other avenue, if you have more of these people, you have a better society. On this note, I'll take your leave, and we'll end this program. I'm extremely grateful to you, Miss Fariba, for sparing your time, and for such an insightful uh, you know uh, depth of your personal, emotional life and your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for the invitation. Even when you invited me and you told me the topic, it was something very close,
Yeah.
to my heart, and I wanted to speak. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Pariba. And that's it for today. I'll see you guys next Thursday with a new program on Planet FM 87.6. Till then, enjoy yourself. Goodbye. I sign off.